It's 7:48 p.m., 12 minutes past bedtime. Your toddler is on the floor, not sitting, not lying down, somewhere in between. Arched back, fists clenched, screaming like the world just ended. And maybe in their world, it did. Because you gave them the blue cup instead of the green one. You're standing there, exhausted. You haven't eaten dinner, your shoulders are up near your ears, and you can feel your jaw tightening. There's a voice in your head. Maybe it sounds like your mother's, maybe it sounds like yours. And it's saying, just make it stop. So you raise your voice. Not a lot, just enough. You say something like, that's enough, it's bedtime, stop crying. And here's what happens next. They cry harder. You feel worse. And now there are two dysregulated people in the room. Just pause. This is not a parenting failure. This is a parenting moment. And what you do inside this moment, not the perfect words, not the right technique, but what's happening inside your body right now. That is the single most powerful force shaping your child's emotional future. This is the science of co-regulation. And it changes everything. Let's go inside your child's brain for a second. When your toddler is mid-meltdown, their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic, reasoning, impulse control, and language, is essentially offline. It's not that they won't listen to you. They can't. The architecture isn't built yet. Dr. Dan Siegel, clinical professor of psychiatry at UCLA and author of The Whole Brain Child, describes this as flipping your lid. He uses a simple hand model of the brain. Your wrist is the brainstem, your thumb tucked in is the limbic system, and your fingers folded over are the prefrontal cortex. When a child is overwhelmed, those fingers fly up. The rational brain disconnects from the emotional brain. Now here's the part most people miss. Your child's nervous system is not self-regulating. Not yet. The ability to calm yourself down, to feel a big feeling and return to baseline is not something children are born with. It's something they learn. And they learn it from you, not from your words, from your nervous system. This is where mirror neurons come in. In the 1990s, a team of Italian neuroscientists led by Giacomo Rizzolatti discovered something remarkable. They found neurons in the brain that fire not only when we perform an action, but when we watch someone else perform that action. They called them mirror neurons, and they don't just mirror movement, they mirror emotion. When you are calm, your child's brain is literally receiving a signal. We are safe, we can come down. When you are activated, tight voice, clenched jaw, shallow breathing, their brain receives a different signal. Danger, stay activated. Dr. Stephen Porges, the neuroscientist behind polyvagal theory, explains it this way. The human nervous system is constantly scanning the environment for cues of safety or threat. He calls this neuroception, and it happens below conscious awareness. Your child isn't deciding to calm down or stay upset. Their nervous system is reading yours and responding accordingly. So when you tell a screaming child to calm down while your own heart rate is at 110 beats per minute, you're sending two messages at once. Your words say calm. Your body says storm, and the body always wins. Now, there's a belief that's been passed down through generations of parenting. It sounds like this. If I comfort them every time they cry, I'll spoil them. They need to learn to self-soothe. After all, I turned out fine. Let's be honest about that last one. A lot of us didn't turn out fine. We turned out functional. There's a difference. We learned to suppress, to perform calmly, and to push through. And now, at 30 or 35 or 40, we're sitting in therapy trying to learn the emotional regulation skills that no one taught us when we were small. Here's what the research actually says. Dr. Allan Schore, a neuropsychologist at UCLA, has spent decades studying the developing brain. His work shows that a child's capacity for emotional regulation is built, literally, neurologically built, through repeated experiences of co-regulation with a caregiver. When a parent consistently meets a child's distress with calm presence, the child's brain develops stronger connections between the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex. Those neural pathways become the foundation for self-regulation later in life. In other words, you don't teach a child to self-soothe by leaving them alone with big feelings. You teach them to self-soothe by being with them through big feelings, enough times that their brain learns the pattern. Co-regulation comes first. Self-regulation comes later. You can't skip the first step. Dr. Becky Kennedy, clinical psychologist and author of Good Inside, puts it in a way that stops you in your tracks. She says, your job is not to make your child happy. Your job is to make your child feel real. Sit with that for a second. Not happy. Real. So that means their anger is real. Their frustration is real. Their sadness over the blue cup, which is really sadness about not having control in a world that feels very big and very fast. That's real too. And when you meet that realness with your calm presence, you're not just managing a moment. You're telling your child something profound. You can feel all of this, and you are still safe. You are still loved. You are still good inside. This is what Dr. Kennedy calls being a sturdy leader. Not rigid, not permissive, sturdy. A parent who can hold boundaries and hold space for emotion at the same time. The philosopher Alain de Botton once wrote that the greatest gift we can give another person is the feeling of being understood without being judged. That's what co-regulation is. It's not an agreement. It's not giving in. It's presence without judgment. And here's the quiet truth underneath all of this. You cannot give your child what you do not have access to yourself. If no one regulated with you when you were small, if your tears were met with stop crying or silence or anger, then your nervous system learned that distress is dangerous, that emotions are problems to be solved, not experiences to be felt. So when your child melts down and your whole body tightens, that's not a parenting failure. That's your nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do. The work isn't to be a perfect parent. The work is to become a more regulated parent. And that is a practice, not a destination. Let's zoom out. What happens to a child who grows up with a co-regulating parent? The research is strikingly clear. Let's look at relationships. Children who experience consistent co-regulation develop what attachment researchers call a secure attachment style. Dr. John Bowlby's foundational work, expanded by Mary Ainsworth's strange situation experiments, shows that securely attached children grow into adults who can tolerate intimacy, navigate conflict, and trust others. They don't cling. They don't shut down. They can say, "I'm hurt," without it feeling like the end of the world. Talk about mental health. A landmark study published in Development and Psychopathology found that children with responsive, emotionally attuned caregivers had significantly lower rates of anxiety, depression, and behavioral disorders, not just in childhood, but into adolescence and adulthood. The buffer isn't wealth. It isn't education. It's the quality of emotional connection in the first years of life. And then success, and here's one that surprises people. The famous marshmallow test, Walter Mischel's study on delayed gratification, has been reframed in recent years. It turns out the children who could wait weren't just born with more willpower. Many of them came from environments where they had learned to trust that good things would come. Their nervous systems had been trained, through co-regulation, to tolerate discomfort. That's not discipline. That felt like safety showing up as resilience. Gordon Neufeld and Dr. Gabor Mate write about this beautifully in Hold On to Your Kids. They argue that a child's attachment to their parent is the single most protective factor in their development. More than peer groups, more than schools, more than any extracurricular activity. When a child feels deeply connected to a calm, present caregiver, they develop what Neufeld calls an emotional compass, an internal sense of direction that guides them through life's storms. You are not just calming a tantrum, you are building a compass. All right, let's bring this home, because the science means nothing if it stays in a textbook. Here are 3 things you can practice, not master, practice, starting today. 1. Regulate yourself first. This is the foundation. Everything else falls apart without it. Before you respond to your child's meltdown, take 5 seconds. Yes, 5. Put your hand on your chest. Feel your feet on the floor. Take 1 slow breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth, longer on the exhale. You're not doing this to be zen. You're doing this because your exhale activates your vagus nerve, the longest nerve in your body, which sends a signal to your brain. We are safe. We can stand down. Dr. Becky Kennedy calls this checking in before checking on. You cannot pour from a shattered cup. Regulate yourself first, even imperfectly, even for 5 seconds. 2. Narrate, don't fix. When your child is in distress, resist the urge to solve it. Instead, name what you see. You're really upset right now. That felt so frustrating. You wanted the green cup, and you got the blue one. That's hard. This is called effect labeling, and neuroscience research from UCLA's Matthew Lieberman shows that simply naming an emotion reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain's alarm center. When you give your child's feeling a name, you help their brain organize the chaos. You turn a flood into a river. You don't need to fix the feeling. You just need to make it seeable. 3. Repair when you get it wrong. You will lose it. You will yell. You will say the thing you swore you'd never say. This is not the end of the story. Dr. Ed Tronick's famous still face experiment showed that what matters most in the parent-child relationship is not perfection. It's repair. In his research, when a mother briefly disengaged from her baby and then re-engaged with warmth, the baby recovered. The rupture didn't cause damage. The lack of repair causes damage. So after you lose your cool, come back. Get on their level. Say something like, I yelled and that wasn't okay. You didn't do anything wrong. I was feeling big feelings too, and I'm working on that. This is not weakness. This is the most powerful thing you can model. You're showing your child that relationships can bend without breaking. That mistakes are not the end of love. That even grown-ups are still learning. Dr. Becky Kennedy says it plainly. Repair is the most underrated parenting tool in existence. Use it freely. Here's what I want to leave you with. Your child does not need you to be calm every second of every day. That's not real. That's not human. What they need is to know that you can feel something big and come back. That you can be in the storm and still be their anchor. Because that's what co-regulation really is. It's not a technique. It's a relationship. It's the thousands of tiny moments where your child's nervous system reaches out and finds yours. And yours says, I'm here. We're okay. Every time you take that breath before you react. Every time you sit on the floor next to them instead of standing over them. Every time you choose presence over perfection. You are literally building their brain. You are operating in the belief that emotions are survivable, that they are worthy of comfort, that the world has safe people in it. And one day, maybe when they're 6, maybe when they're 16, maybe when they're 36 and holding their own baby at 7:48 p.m. with a blue cup on the floor, they will reach for that calm inside themselves. And it will be there, because you put it there. If this resonated with you, I want to ask you to do one thing. Think of one parent in your life, a friend, a sibling, or a partner, who is in the thick of it right now. The sleepless nights, the meltdowns, the guilt, the "am I doing this right?" Send them this video. Not because they're doing something wrong, but because they need to hear what you just heard, that their presence is enough, that their calm is the most powerful tool they have, that they don't have to be perfect, they just have to be there. And if you want to go deeper, pick up Good Inside by Dr. Becky Kennedy. Read The Whole Brain Child by Dr. Dan Siegel. Sit with Hold On to Your Kids by Gordon Neufeld and Gabor Mate. These books will change the way you see your child and the way you see yourself. We're building something here, not just a channel, a language, a family language, for the parents who want to do this differently. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next one. Subscribe for more videos on the psychology behind parenting and the science of raising emotionally intelligent kids.